at a parental guidance that we'll never be having, and a decision that big. That's crazy.
Well, to that point, you know, since he became a father, he just came to appreciate growing up in a 2-parent household. Actually, it was a label that he didn't really want to talk about because it wasn't streaked. And he didn't tell you he went to private school, and we had
no. That wasn't that niggas that started something. I didn't hear it in there.
I don't know. Now you want to put me on the summer
you was Clarence
from the summer gym screen.
You was Clarence from the other side of 8 Mile
on the summer gym screen.
Just goes to show you don't have to be of the hood to be in the hood. Right, or vice versa.
We still lived in the hood, though.
Right, we still lived in the hood.
We wasn't coming from Bel Air. We was doing all of this in the hood.
I did the same shit with my mom. She heard all that poverty rhyme. She's like, "Wait, huh? Poverty? No, you had a good home. Don't get out there lying." But for some of us, it'd be a choice.
Fact.
Like we don't have to go this way, but it's right there. Look good outside, and I gotta go see what's going on. So Jadakiss went to college. Private school. I'm writing all this shit down.
Styles and Sheik went there too.
Nah.
They did.
Can't do that.
I ain't snitching. They did.
It was the same school.
P and Luke, we all went to the same school. Then P went to the jail. The jail was right next to the college. He ended up going to do the semester in the jail when we got the deal. Then we put him in the deal.
Street.
Yeah, he was across the street in Valhalla in the jail.
So when do you realize?
All right, fellas. All right. So does Jadakiss 2-parent household upbringing or 2-parent upbringing undermine the street persona? Let's go with my guy, Bear.
Oh, I'm first. Well, no, one of my best friends grew up in a 2-parent house. His father's a cop. The boy got more felonies than I got tattoos. Like, you know what I mean? And then the fact that I'm originally from Yonkers. I went to private school. I went to private school. I still ended up in prison. Like, you know, you can't never judge a book by its cover. You know what I mean? Like, you can't really just say, okay, now, do you have a better chance coming from a 2-parent home and all that? Yeah. But you still could be individually you and make dumbass decisions as a kid. You know what I'm saying? Just parents got it figured out. I mean, you're going to have it figured out.
All right. I do want to touch on that. You have a better chance with 2 kids. Let's bring Victor around. Matter of fact, let's just do this. Let's just do yes or no as far as the question, Victor. And then I want everybody to go ahead, if you want to chime in and give y'all personal. There we go. Is that back on? Oh, yeah, and give y'all personal experiences or whatever. Let's get Victor. Yes or no? Does Jadakiss 2-parent upbringing undermine his street persona?
No.
All right, let's go with Fresh.
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Let's go with Vulcan.
Yes, it does.
Whoa. All right. So we got Bears breakdown already. Let's start with Victor.
I think a lot of it has to do with region. I didn't grow up in Yonkers, you know, so I don't know how Yonkers is formatted, you know, but I did grow up in a place in the South that the projects is across the street from some of the 2-parent homes, and then a lot of the times your family is still in the projects, even though like you might be in a community that's outside of it or whatever. That doesn't mean that you don't still spend a lot of your time where the rest of your relatives are. So you can still get involved with a lot of the same stuff. You don't all the time have peers where you live at, you know, you have your peers where you spend the majority of your time. And what I do know about like more schools up north like that, if they have a lot of private money involved because of the public schools are probably overcrowded and people trying to put their kids in the best situation possible, they still take with them the mindset of whatever they're doing, no matter where they are. You know, It's more so about how much time do your kids spend with other people that are influenced the same way. So because like you preachers' kids still be ending up being street kids. Like every time you look up and you see some preachers' kids, they doing something wild. Not just
All right.
so I
Let
think
me
that's
get fresh here. Talk to me, man.
So I think everyone kind of forgets a little bit why the street uh, culture or why the street angle has such an allure. It's really the rags to riches story. So typically the allure, the draw to it comes out of the necessity, right? You made it from nothing using your skill set. You got up out of the gutter. It really kind of undermines it. I like the way that you put it. It does undermine it. I don't think it does away with it because whatever he did, if all of it's above board and he did it, but it does undermine his reason for doing it now, because now it's not like you were struggling, you had to get up out the struggle, and this is the only way to do it was moving packs on the block, right? It's like, okay, you had other options and you chose to do this, so it takes a little bit of it off of it, if it's not um if it was a choice, because now it's almost like you cosplaying. Whether you cosplay good or not is not it's not the same thing, right? It's more about the intention. So it's like you didn't have to be here, you didn't have to do these things, you did them. So now it's like it's almost, and I really hate to put these two in the same category because of how much I respect um, the artistry of the locks, but it's almost like 6ix9ine. Like 6ix9ine definitely got in the street and was doing what he was doing for that brief stint while he was out there wilding, but he was a good kid from a two-parent household. That's why everyone was so against him. Like, you don't even belong out here. Like, you don't
6ix9ine
need
is
to be
crazy.
doing this. I know. I listen. I
That's
try to preface that. I
that's
try to soften the
that's
blow, but
Yeah.
at its core, it's the same thing. At its core, it's the same thing as somebody who didn't have to be out there doing that stuff. Out there doing
maybe
that stuff.
somebody else with 6ix9ine.
Let me get
Without the
Vulcan
rap.
here. All right. Vulcan, talk to us, man. Talk to the audience.
Real quickly, Bear, did you say that it undermined his street persona? Which one did you say?
Yeah, I said it doesn't.
Okay, it doesn't. Okay. Yeah, I mean, Freshly said the point that I wanted to say. He just said it better than I was going to say it. The thing for me is this: it does undermine the persona. I'm putting a key emphasis on the persona. When I heard what Victor said, I think that I agree with what they are saying as well. It doesn't matter what your background, where you come from, you can choose to still fall into that allure of the street life. And I think that's their point, and I 100% agree with that. But the persona, which means how people are perceiving them, is definitely going to be impacted, because growing up, and Enos can attest to this, we would have conversations, and the biggest rebuttal or rejoinder I would get when I would ask why a lot of my friends were so caught up in the esteem and the allure of a lot of these street rappers, they said, like Freshly said, this is rag to riches things. They had no choice. They were wrapped up in this environment and they came out of it successful, millionaires. They turned a bad situation, they turned lemons into lemonade. Then you find out they didn't have lemons to begin with. They had lemonade already. And then they had spiked lemonade. So you realize that once you realize that, a lot of that allure is gone. A lot of that that mystique, I want to use, about the street persona and all the things they had to endure and all the persecution they had to deal with being in certain environments where people are trying to constantly trying to take from you and bully you. And so you have to be bigger, you have to be badder. So when a lot of young men are walking around with that bravado, we go, I can understand why you had to walk around with that kind of a bravado, because that bravado is what kept the people off his back. So it's okay that you pretend like a peacock. A peacock makes himself big and shows his beautiful feathers because he's trying to get the women, right? And we know that's the game. You ain't no other way of getting a female peacock unless you do that, right? In the same way, when you find out that, hold on, he didn't have to do that. He already, his parents gave him women already. He didn't have to show his feathers and stuff. Why is he walking around showing his feathers, making himself a bigger target for predators?
I want to make one more point when you get done. Like,
Yeah, and so sure, just my last piece about that is so that's why it takes away from the allure because you realize these guys were just fans. These guys were just gullible fans of a deceptive lifestyle. I'll say this last story right here, and I'll get back to you, Fresh. I was playing ball at this spot, and there was this guy, and he's from where we're from, like considered like the worst area of San Antonio is East Side, right? And so there's a guy who's from considered the worst part, the most respected, esteemed part as far as like street activity goes in the Black community. And there's another guy who's from Lakeside, which you'll know who that is, which is still East Side, but then he also spent some time on the Northeast
not the
side.
East Side.
Yeah, was it? So that's debatable, and whether that's considered East Side or not, right? But it's on the other side of 10. It's on the other side of 10. And
you can't redistrict the city.
And so what happened was one time the guy from the Sticks, which is one of the main places in East Side where people get a lot of street credibility, says, "Why do y'all want to be from the East Side like us so bad?" He's talking to a guy who's another street dude, but a more northern street dude. So he's not East Side. And this guy, when he's in his area, people look at him as the street dude. But when the East Side guys came over, now he's not the street dude anymore because the East Side guys are there and they're more street. And so he said, "Why do you want to be us so bad?" And he goes, "Because y'all made it look so good." And I just happened to be able to hear him say that. And that's what Jadakiss and a lot of these guys you find out really were. They were just fans. They were fans of the lifestyle. They were caught up in the allure of it. And they chose to do criminal activity and be a party to, if not do it themselves, terrorize their communities because they were just weak-willed. They had weak spirits, brittle spirits.
I'm gonna add this real quick before everybody else gets on because I know I guess got something to add. Yeah. I want to point out that the rap game hip hop has made the violence and the drugs in the community has glamorized it to the point where some of us think that stuff is okay. You have to go back to the essence where we accepted those things because it was deemed necessary to make it out of a certain way of life, right? But once you take that away, right? Once you put that back on there, that no, drug dealing, violence, especially against your own community, all that stuff, those crimes, they're still illegal, they're still bad, right? And then you remove the necessity to do bad things to improve your situation. Now we're looking at people who are just doing crime for the sake of doing crime because it looks cool. And that definitely, in terms of your street persona, it takes a hit because you don't have to do these wrong things. It's like now, oh, you're choosing to terrorize us. You didn't have to be down here. You came down here in order to get it. You walked into the lion's den willingly, so you could say you was in the lion's den. You never had to be in there.
All right, let me help the bear say that at least Dave Chappelle just didn't correct people. My guy Jadakiss lied to us. Enos ruins another rapper for me. R.I.P. Meek. Yeah, Meek disappointed a lot of people.
I want to say something before we close this topic out.
Go ahead.
You got two parents don't mean you not in the hood because that two parents, they still was in the hood. You see what I'm saying?
That's what he said on the video.
Yeah,
he said that.
So two parents, I just know because from personal experience, like I say, one of my closest friends got two parents. The boy got more felonies than I got tattoos. I got like 18 of them. Having two parents doesn't necessarily make you automatically not from where you from.
But that's real quickly.
Bel Air, or he had two parents and they live rich. Like I said, I went to private school. You go to private school in New York off of grants. You know that, right? You don't have to be rich to go to private school in New York. You get grants for that.
That's good to know. Yeah.
So like
that's what I'm saying. Like you gotta know.
You get grants to go to private school anywhere.
Yeah. So like especially back then, like he a little older than me, so I know like you don't have to be rich to go to private school up there. You know what I'm saying?
Okay, you mind sharing why you're emphasizing
that you have though. It's the exposure though. So even if you go to private school, you are exposed now to different opportunities.
Well, hold on, Fred. Before you spoke, Vulcan, you want to ask him again why he's emphasizing what?
I think me and Fresh are on the same page, but I'm just going to ask you. I don't know. I was just saying I was going to put it in the form of a question to give it back to Bear. Like, why are you emphasizing that point?
No, I'm just saying that to say like you can't take someone's credibility, you know, whether they authentically who themselves because of you got two parents. You know,
He talking about persona.
my father died.
Yeah, yeah.
But that's why I was mentioning before. This is talking about the persona.
Yeah.
See, you were saying the persona, that's a different thing.
Yeah.
We're saying taking away all of a person's credit. Like some of the rough guys I know had mom and dad in the house. Like I saw this.
Yeah.
No, yeah.
This ain't a Young Jeezy situation. Like Young Jeezy's persona is now more important than his street credibility. You know what I'm saying? Whereas like all of that conversation with BMF and how he was tied to everything on the street side of stuff, they questioned that later, you know. But his persona ain't never took a hit. But the other thing is too, Jadakiss got the respect of his peers. So
100%.
So that's different. You know what I'm saying? Because his craft is his craft. His skills speak for itself. That's where it kind of like balances out.
Yeah. Well, again, it's hard. I mean, you're right about his skill set. It does balance out because in the rap game, he does what he does. Top 5 dead or alive, right? It ain't a whole bunch of people who could do what he could do.
Yep.
But the allure of the rap game, there's
he had
a bunch of
advantages.
backpack rappers. Yeah, there's a bunch of backpack rappers who could rap their ass off. Pardon my language. That they don't give you that feel. And that if we really want to look at the essence of, and it's not just overall hip hop, right? This is gangster rap, for lack of a better word. This is Jadakiss, the Locks. They are gangster rappers. They not backpack rappers. They not conscious rappers. They rap about street activities. It takes away a little bit of that feel. I was watching an interview with man, what is this dude's name? Casanova. After jail, he denounced all of his stuff, but that's neither here nor there.
Yeah, because he got all those years. He says he's not gang no more. I seen that.
But even go further back than that, he talks about how he grew up where he grew up. He had an 8-bedroom household. His mom had money. He was essentially saying like, I didn't have to do that stuff. And again, now you're talking about crime for the sake of crime, and it takes a little bit away because
a lot of way.
Yeah,
I think it takes more than just a little bit. I think it takes everything away.
Story is not.
Everybody gonna be DMX, man.
Yeah. Because my whole thing is like this. To Bear's point, really quick, it doesn't matter whether you have a 2-parent home, a 3-parent home, whatever the case may be. A gangster or somebody who's rough and tough, that's just somebody who chooses to be an aggressive, coercive person. That's got nothing to do with your background or where you come from. You can be, an alien can show up on this planet right now. We don't even know what his background is, but if he starts beating people up and threatening people and saying, if you come and do this to me, I'm gonna do this to you, I'm gonna say that's the dude's a gangster. He could on his planet, he could have 10 parents and have a 12-bedroom home for all we know. The actions,
you gotta ask why though.
The gangster just has to do, the gangster just has to do with how you move in society. You see what I'm saying? But my thing is, it takes away from it when we know that you had access to more education. You had a great literacy rate. We can hear in their music, these guys are very intelligent people about how they put their syllables together and all those different kind of things, how they put the rhymes together.
As hell, Jim Jones was working on Wall Street before he was a rapper. Like up north is different. And I'm not trying to be funny.
That's what makes it so sad.
I lived on both aesthetics. I was both raised down. And most people think the dropout rate is higher down south than it is up north. That's just being real.
Yeah.
I lived on both. It's like it's nothing for somebody to be from the streets but still be done went to school and graduated and they can articulate.
But I think
what Vulcan was saying, he said that's what makes it worse. It makes it worse because
I get that, and they still made that. That's just like, okay.
It's just diversity.
What I'm trying to say is, I don't see it taken away from the credibility of being street because you had access to other things. That just mean I feel like some people don't take advantage of the opportunity they do have in other places. It's mad people that got plenty of opportunities everywhere else. They just don't take advantage of it.
All right. Anybody disagree? Anybody disagree with Bear is saying?
A lot of people say, "Oh, I don't."
Hold on, Bear. Hold on. Anybody disagree with Bear is saying?
Can we restate it? Because I'm hearing more than one point. I'm hearing at least 2 points.
All right, what points you want to convey the most? Let's start with that first, Bear.
Me?
Yeah.
Oh well, my point was that I feel like it doesn't take away from the authenticity of who he is because he had 2 parents or because
All right, that's it.
because
We can
like
start right there. As far as this gangsterism, let's take the music out because music is persona. How we listen to the music is more entertainment. That's different. But just as a gangster, a person that's in the streets, they're saying it doesn't take away from that. And
His authenticity is not in question. He did it. If everything is above board, he did the things he said he did. He did them. So by definition, he is what he says he is. Again, when you talk about
so you agree with Bear there?
Well,
I mean,
I think we all agree that his gangster is not in question. It's his persona. Because again, now we're looking at why are you doing this? It's like, again, it's like a cosplay type of thing. Like if you come down, like to Vulcan's point, if an alien comes down here and gets to smacking people around, he is by definition what he says he is. The question is now, why the wanton violence, right? So you have, again, you look at all these criminal cases, the criminal psychologists. Some of this stuff only becomes acceptable based on the necessity to do it, right? He
Absolutely right.
Choice. This was his environment. This is his only way to survive, right? He was required to do these types of violent, evil things because his environment did not provide him other opportunities. When you start getting into the fact like, oh no, he had several opportunities. He chose this. He had private school, so he had access and exposure to other avenues.
He's reading the Odyssey. He's reading, Schindler's List. So he's being exposed to all these gangsters, real gangsters who deleted millions, and he's still choosing to act like that. He didn't tear up when he saw, read Schindler's List. Like
so the guy here to get out of
in the South, especially, where Enos and I graduated from, where people have low literacy rates. And the schools were almost 100% black for the most part. Some of them people could not read. They couldn't read. They read at a 4th, 5th grade level. So I'm not justifying or excusing their behavior, but it was more understandable that somebody like that might turn to a life of crime because you can't go to the military if you can't pass the ASVAB. You got to at least have an 84 IQ to get in the military. 85, I think, something like that.
Higher education. You don't have access to higher education. You can't go get an office job.
Hold on, Fred. Let me bring Bear in here. So, can
I say one more point real quick?
Yeah, go ahead.
I just want to say one more point real quick also. And then when you look at throughout America, and I've been part of these types of programs where we try to help saving. We've been a part of programs called Saving Our Sons. Citibank has had programs and part of the way we try to discourage that poor behavior is by educating the youth through these various programs. But when you have intelligent black men who went to private school still engaging in that horrible behavior, what hope is there for us? Because they're telling those same kids,
a gangster. He went to private school.
Yeah, we're telling all these kids that we're doing our investing money, trying to teach these kids and show these kids a better world. Part of the organization I was a part of, we took like over 50, 60 kids from the inner city to Disney World to show them a better way. When you got guys like that, so they can see the world's bigger than what it is, we think this stuff is going to help them to not get that involved in that kind of stuff. And then you got guys
the assumption is they don't know anything else.
They don't know. Yeah,
they don't know that there's anything else out there. Let's expose them to it.
These guys are going against our message, saying you can know all that stuff and still be a gangster.
All right, let's bring Bear here. Any disagreements?
No, I get what they're saying totally, completely. I get what they're saying. I think it's this. Having no know-how or you don't have another way is no excuse either, because I'm from the bottom of the barrel, bro. Like, DJ, you know what Barton Village at? That's what when I moved to Georgia, that was my first stop. Bottom of the barrel. I know more people from there that own their own businesses and stuff than people I know that wasn't from their area. So just because you're from there, it's like my mom taught us when we was young. Because you're from the ghetto, I mean you got to be of the ghetto. But at the same time, you are who you are. You know what I'm saying?
What do you mean by that?
This, no matter your upbringing, stupid kids make dumb decisions every day. You get old, time brings about wisdom, and experience in life brings about wisdom and changing them. You know what I'm saying? You grow up, you get older,
Mhm.
you think better. If you notice, the older they got, his music changed, his message changed in the music.
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying? So
Okay.
it takes experience. You know, as a young kid, that you know, you 20 something, that's what he rapping about. But he got older, you know, which I would expect. I would hope most artists do that. That's why they laughing at Jim Jones now, because he living his second childhood. But like,
Shout out to Jim Jones.
Shout out to Nas.
All right.
Yes, sir.
Let's get to the
my,
next.
I didn't mean to get
snap.
off topic, but yeah, I get exactly what y'all saying. But to me, when people say I had no opportunity, yeah, you did still, and yet still you did, because I came from that. Going to the store, getting food, getting old food stamps, buying a pack of Annihilators, bringing the change back.
Shoot, plenty of police officers used to be in the street before they became cops. They from the same area. I like.
But it's about choice. That's the
Well,
that's perfect.
we get the choice, but the thing is though, that previous behavior doesn't undermine the current persona. You know what I'm saying? Like, but it still goes back to the choice. And as a man that was in the military for 12 years, I can tell you that people join the military and they still be street because it's conditioned into them. You know, they get to where they going, they're gonna find the hood, they're gonna find out what's good and what's going down because the activities associated with their behavior and what they're familiar with and the type of people they used to communicate with, it never goes away until they decide that they want something different. So
the choice is the operative word here. That's all I'm saying.
until they
is that there's a choice.
Until they
you
want
you
something
chose
different.
that life and you got used to it. Cool.
Yeah.
Right. So I understand you kind of, but it's almost like you're indoctrinating yourself at that point in time. Like
because conditioning goes deep.
It does, but when you choose the conditioning is where we have the problem. Where you choose, like, I want to go do what they're doing. So yeah, you're entrenched and you're ensconced in that type of behavior. So I expect you to come out of that chosen lifestyle with doing those things. I'm not knocking that. So I'm saying, like, okay, Jadakiss, I'm gonna just say the locks, because they all went to the same school apparently. They came out of that environment that they placed themselves in, doing what people from that environment does. So it's not the authenticity of the individual, it's the persona, because the persona is that you didn't have a choice, right? Keep in mind, these are still crimes.
Yeah.
Right. They still doing these things that are wrong, but it's almost excusable, at least for us, and obviously not for the criminal justice system, but even us, right? We're looking at it like, you know what? What other choice did he have? He didn't have the opportunities, so he had to do these things. And it's like, no, he didn't. No, he had the opportunities to avoid the street life, and he chose to dive in there.
Well, let me give you another example too, right? Like Lawrence Fishburne's daughter, she chose to go into the adult film industry, and he disowned her because he said, "Hey, until you go to rehab, you can't be running around here with my name and." You know what I'm saying, getting tooted up on camera, you know?
Yeah.
So she didn't have to choose that.
Exactly. And it's the stigma on the
Yeah, we gotta sorry to interrupt, but we got the next question popping up. Eno said he'll be back in about 5 minutes.
Hot heat!
You're tuning in to the Vulcan Soapbox.
It's your show, Vulcan. Come on, man.
What's going on, everybody?